Canadian cowardice on full display at the United Nations. Our UN ambassador has abstained from a vote to declare Trump's recognition of Israel's capital null and void. The United Nations just voted 128-9 to nullify President Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's undivided capital shamefully. Canada joined the chorus of 35 coward countries who abstained from the vote. Canada's Foreign Affairs Department issued a bland, non-committal statement saying, "We are disappointed that this resolution is one-sided and does not advance prospects for peace to which we aspire, which is why we have abstained from today's votes." Unreal. Prospects for peace, you say? Can anybody tell me what sort of prospects for peace there were before Jerusalem was recognized as the capital? The stabbings and terror attacks are getting pretty routine around there. They were routine before, they are still routine now, and they will remain routine as long as Israel's neighbors are committed to pushing it into the sea as a matter of their public policy. This latest General Assembly vote comes on the heels of a United Nations Security Council vote to do basically the exact same thing, to try to render the United States' recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel null and void. That vote was 14-1, vetoed by United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. Just watch this.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2017/1060 please raise their hand? Thank you. Will those against? Thank you.
14-1.
No abstentions. The result of the voting is as follows: 14 votes in favor, 1 vote against.
Do you know what was really weird about that vote? Russia has already formally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, yet as a member of the Security Council, they just voted to squash the United States doing the very same thing, to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. This is the sort of ridiculous, hypocritical, anti-American for the sake of being anti-American garbage that goes on at the United Nations. Imagine the audacity of the UN, both the Security Council and the General Assembly, thinking they have the authority to tell a sovereign nation like the United States where they can put their own embassy, and then thinking that they have also the authority to tell a sovereign nation like Israel where their capital is. It's absolutely everything that is wrong with being part of the United Nations. They spend a lot of time focusing on liberal democracies who actually respect human rights while populating the Human Rights Council with the very worst of the worst human rights abusers around the world. Anyway, Ambassador Haley sent a letter to the United Nations General Assembly member states. She warned them that if they voted in a similar motion, in a similar fashion against the United States, that the United States would level financial consequences on those countries, maybe even withholding foreign aid. Which is, of course, absolutely reasonable. Why would the United States, or any civilized nation for that matter, fund countries who are acting against their best interests? How is this even a controversial position to take? So after the vote, I guess the United States just got 128 UN member states richer if Donald Trump follows through on his plan to cut off anyone who votes against the United States at the United Nations. And Donald Trump's track record of following through on his promises is getting pretty darn good. Now, liberals often say there are really no shared Canadian values, but I wholeheartedly reject that. We are the country of bravery in the face of overwhelming evil and often what seems like imminent defeat. We are not a nation and have never been a nation that sits on her hands when called upon to do the right thing. We have never been Switzerland, and we've always stood by our closest allies and fought for what's right beside them. We are a country that has always punched above our weight in ways and in during times I think the liberal left would love to rewrite out of our history books. We are the country of bravery at Kitchener's Wood, Regina Trench, Juno Beach, the Battle of Hong Kong, Kapyong, Medak Pocket, and Kandahar. But today, we abandoned two of our closest allies Israel and the United States. And not even in battle, but in a bureaucratic vote in the safety of an auditorium. When called upon to recognize the autonomy of two of our closest historical friends on the face of planet Earth, Justin Trudeau's Canada could not do the right thing, the brave thing, even if it's unpopular. We've gone from Stephen Harper telling Israel, through fire and water, Canada will stand with you, to Trudeau's, sorry bro, not today. And it seems as though our politicians were very concerned about the optics of looking like we were too close, too chummy with the United States. It's more important to Trudeau to be anti-Trump than it is to be ethical. Could you imagine being concerned about the optics of doing the right thing or being too close to the world's largest superpower? That's Canada's foreign policy right now. It's not moral, and it's certainly not principled. Canada's foreign policy is basically a Facebook meme about cats at this point. Boring, safe, worried about likes and shares, and not hurting anyone's feelings. We're cute. Canada is a Tumblr blog post if a Tumblr blog post could be a country. All we do is virtue signaling and talk about how special and different we are while never really doing anything at all. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. Canadian Conservatives have always stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies in Israel, and I think it should be official Conservative Party policy to move our embassy to Jerusalem. If you agree with me, you can sign our petition at movetheembassy.ca.